My name is Michaela Ledwidge. I'm an economy class trans woman running a small studio in Sydney, Australia. And I've been investigating another small business, the Australian Christian Lobby. Now, the Australian Christian Lobby is well known to Australians because every time there's an LGBTQI issue in the media, the ACL get their piece of it. And they are also brilliant at lobbying politicians. Now, there's 23 million Australians, and in the last census, about 61% of them identified as Christian. And the funny thing is that in the 2017 marriage equality plebiscite, that was about the same percentage of people who voted yes. And if you look at the data, it does seem like Australians haven't had a problem with gay people marrying for about 10 years, maybe 7 years. So why has it taken so long for the laws to change? Now, Australian Christian Lobby, it's a clever label. It sounds like it's representative of all Christians, all conservative Christians. But let's follow the data, let's follow the money, and let's see what we can find.
It's great having virtual Michaela around. She never fluffs her lines, but she's not exactly real time. So how can we bring a documentary experience to life? I looked at Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth, the climate change film, and thought, if it was essentially a PowerPoint presentation could win an Oscar, what could we do with a virtual world? One where presenter and audience could interact with real-time data. And it got me thinking, what if we could use this space to explore difficult to explain topics and controversial data? And could it have an impact on how we debate, instead of just always leaving it to the loudest voices? And how hard could it be to just do it all in VR in front of an audience? So we got to work, and wow, we learned a few things. We learnt why Minority Report style interfaces are hard. Hand tracking off a single camera is really hard. But we love the idea of this Leap Motion camera, especially for presenters who are new to VR, because it just makes it easy to press buttons. We can navigate, and if I'm super lucky, I can even pick up things. Ooh, careful, yeah, sort of. And it's really good for letting me see my Italian heritage. But when it comes to tracking hand rotations, yeah, it's just not quite there yet. But that's okay, because on this show, I'm your host, and I'm perfectly happy with motion controllers. So while a lot of companies are working to solve hand tracking, our focus is on big questions. In this age of filter bubbles, sound bites, selfies, flame wars over how to pronounce GIF, how are we supposed to present complex data? And could spatial media potentially allow us to explore things in a way that sometimes traditional media struggles to? So as Virtual Michaela was saying, just comparing data points from almost 10 years ago. It's crazy. And look, a breakthrough came when we took the open source Neo4j database and graph database and hooked it up to a virtual set. All of a sudden, it was clear what we needed: a dynamic but simple way to get a handle on our data. Just enough data to tell a story and make a show. So for every presentation, we create editorial handles through the data. Collections that can be easily navigated, and just as easy to tidy away. And this is all about sharing our research and showing our lines of inquiry. Because as presenter, I need a really simple but friendly way to explore data, but in a way that audiences can follow along with me. And not just follow along with, but I, as the presenter, I need a way to reflect on what I find. You see, this is not about telling you what to think. It's about asking questions. So, for example, let's go into some Australian government databases and follow the money, the green lines, to see who's behind some of these lobby groups and what organisations have been contributing. This is all public data, and we've got references, URLs, all behind it. Data visualization in live storytelling. Where's my camera? Hi. Data storytelling is not often used. And why is that? We think it's because data viz tools are hard. And that means that storytellers like journalists and their audience often miss out. PowerPoint, slide decks, these are easy to use. This has to be easy too. So beyond this project, we're looking to make Grapho, this graph mechanic, open to anyone with a headset and some data. So this is something we're exploring, and by way of exploring it, let's get a bit scary. Let's bring in another API. And because it is live, there will be a little bit of a delay. And where is it? Where's my little data? I'm going to try it again. Hello? Come in, come in, come in. Ta-da! Fantastic. All right. Let's see if anyone been tweeting out there. So this is chugging away, just building up a graph from the hashtag SIGGRAPH Asia. Just take a little bit. Sorry, what was that? Step into the center. Yeah, sure. The center of my world or your world? Your world. Fantastic. Okay, let's see who's been tweeting. Oh, cool. All right. So it's really early days. We're interested in seeing what kind of information people want to explore. This is a pretty obvious one, but there's lots of other ways. And not everyone's as into sci-fi as I am. So another thing we're looking at is how would you want to skin and style your own data? We're not making any assumptions. The next step for this project is to take this system on the road as a virtual tour and fleshing out multi-user support. So it's a little bit sparse at the moment, but we're setting it up for multi-users. Let's go back and see if anyone else has been updating. And this is just let's see who's been around. Let's see, Autodesk, some hashtags. So just being able to create your messy space, exploring this. Clever Label comes out soon as a documentary made using the techniques we've shown here on stage. The APIs are already public. Beyond this, we're just exploring big data. We're trying to get a handle on it. As Einstein may have said, information isn't knowledge. Perhaps what's more important is the relationships in the data. You can find us at mod.studio, and thanks to everyone here. Thanks to my great team, Jameis, Caitlin, Charles, Rod and Mish. Cheers.